Hello there, the Omega B here, back after a while. We are back with an update to the mobile tier list for the 5.0 update, and I've had a bit over the month time playing everybody to see how they feel. So there is some changes. Remember, keep in mind this is my opinion, so no attacking each other. Let me know if you have different opinions. I'll happily talk to you in the comments. And do keep in mind, like I said, my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. This is stating that we're in red ranks or purple ranks if you like. Fairly good spot. And add-ons are all taken into account a little bit, but I'm not going to be talking over it because I don't want this to be a super long video. I want to be as, an okay length. So, with that being said, let's get into it, shall we?
And second for the list is Spirit. She is a 4.4 killer. She can phase out with her ability, her hunting. She still has very strong chase potential as well because when she's in power, she is completely invisible. You can only see her husk left over. She still has very good power in recovering depending on the skill and the situations. But again, she turns invisible and it can be very difficult to counterplay that even with the mind games. It's really hard still. Um, Weakness is Iron Will. That will actually be changed. I don't think we have that one yet at the moment. I think on main game it is there. I'm gonna have to double check and clarify this, but that is essentially the only weakness she has. Because the only thing she sees during the hunting is the scratch marks. So that might make that nerf to Strider might make an impact, but even with that, that might bring her down a notch. We're not too sure yet. We're gonna have to see how this game plays out with that. Right now, currently, Strider is not Strider. Excuse me. Iron Will is pretty popular in mobile now, but she is still a very annoying character to go against. Even when I played her, she was still very strong. So, no surprise in this one. And for third place, we have the Hag. She's a 4.4 killer. Her ability is her phantasms. She can lay down the mud traps, similar to Trapper, except she starts with them with a pack of 10. When one is popped, it replenishes, and it pops up a mud copy of her, which can jank up the survivor's camera view. But what makes it very good is that she can basically instant transmission to that spawn point. Multiple can pop, but she can choose which one with the little cursor. And her chase potential isn't really what makes her strong. It's the fact that she can teleport to wherever she set them, her traps. So if those traps are set up in choke points or loop areas or very strong areas and you think it's safe, you're running along, you trip it, you get janked, and you get hit. That's the power of a Hag. And she can do it anywhere. Currently there's no limit to the location per se. She can put it in front of the hook, she can put it right in front of the door, she can put it in the gate, you name it. She can slap it on there. You can crawl over it, but that's really the only real thing. Or if you want to get into her skin, you can harass her. But even then, it's still a little risky because you're putting yourself in danger's way. So, unless they give her some sort of limitations with her ability, she is still going to stay in S tier. She's still a very strong old lady. And we have a newcomer for S tier. We have the twins. She is, or they are a 4.6 killer. The ability is Victor. Victor detaches from Charlotte, and he is like, if I'm correctly, a 3.2 speed. Do quote me on that one, or don't quote me, but he runs like a madman. He can run through the whole map so quickly, and the power of them is when Charlotte gets a basic attack, Victor can take advantage of it. Victor's pounce, once he uses it on a healthy person, for example, will not injure them. Well, he will injure them, but he will cling to them. And the survivor can choose to either crush them or keep them hostage. But if they do, they reveal killer instinct, so she can see where they are to a certain distance and see people around them. And The whole point of shards that people like to do with is injure the team, bust out Victor, and Victor starts mowing down people. I was a little skeptical myself personally with this, but the powerhouse of Victor is just kind of insane. The chase potential is a little bit slow with Charlotte as a base, but when added with Victor, it can be very devastating. And they, of course, they have the recovery as well. Victor makes a big change if you land your smacks. The hitbox is different on mobile. It's a lot wider to compensate, it looks like. But even with that being said, he or they are still just surprisingly strong. Their only weakness is really when a team brings medkits or will make it, even unbreakables, because slugging is favored for them because of their playstyle. So, very popular in mobile and anywhere, honestly. Medkits are very, very strong. But, again, you can argue them being an A tier, and I wouldn't disagree. But the potential that they can reach is very surprising. Very, very surprising. So, I can comfortably put them in S tier. If you don't think so or otherwise, let me know in the comment. And starting us off at the A tier is Bubba. Bubba's a 4.6 killer, so pretty fair chasing. Power is his chainsaw, which has a rev up of 2 seconds and 3 tokens, which you can consume accordingly, and with good timing, you can make his dash that he receives after activating his chainsaw last very long. During this entire dash, he can one-shot anybody and keep going. When he hits a pallet, for example, as well, it consumes the token, and the tokens come back every 8 seconds depending on add-ons. So he is a pallet eating machine. His potential to recover in game is still very strong. He's one of the best face campers, which is sad to say, but he has that power because of his chainsaw. His only real weakness currently is pre-dropping pallets and running early. You could say sprint burst too, but even with that, he will catch up to you because of his speed and his chainsaw dash. So he is still pretty damn scary until they nerf his replenishing timing, maybe. But at the moment, he's still a very strong pallet eating machine.
Behind Bubba, we have the Huntress. She's a 4.4 killer. Her power is the hatchets. She has moved up from B to A now because of the rework she has received. Base kit was not touched, but the add-ons have changed. The one we're going to look at is the Rose Babushka and the Dried Rose, which give her bonus hatchet speed, which can make a very big difference when throwing hatchets at short loops or long walls, whatever you name it, making her chase potential a whole lot faster. She can throw those hatchets and they will fly incredibly fast. So it makes her a lot more deadlier, a lot more rewarding if you know your timings. Her chases can be a whole lot shorter as well. She still has the potential to take out a whole team scary fast if left to do so. So you cannot take a hunches lightly anymore as much. So do be very, very, very careful when fighting one. And really the only weakness she has is the janky collision / hitboxes of objects and line of sight. But even with that, those babushkas and dried roses, that hatchet bonus now, even without it, she is still a very solid character. So do not knock her. She's in a very happy spot at A tier.
And up next we have Pyramid Head, or Dorito Head. He's a 4.6 killer with a pretty lengthy ability. It is Trail of Torment and Rites of Judgment. So he can lay down a trail of barbed wire. If the survivor passes through it, they are afflicted with torment. If they're afflicted with torment, they leave a little trail that you can follow. Even if they're trying to hide, you can see it. And if they are afflicted, if you down them, you can throw them into the cage, which gets over borrowed time and DS. So that's a very good thing to do as well. If you don't have time to hook somebody, you can just send them off to the cage. And if they are on death hook, you can kill them. So Pyramid Head is very strong in that regard if you get your ability off. So you want to put that slime in very good spots. His Downing capability is also very strong as well because of his shockwave. You can cut off windows and walls and even hit through them if you get good reads. One of the few killers that a lot of people don't like playing against because his counterplay, you have to outguess him or fake him and have very good mind games and punish him for missing. So do keep that in mind. He's a killer that you do not want to play very loosely with. You want to be very careful. As for weakness, it's really just outwitting him and running away very, very early, because a very good pyramid head will let you do nothing. So be very careful with them. He is a very strong killer and he deserves his A spot. Right behind him we have Oni, which beforehand, by the way, he did not feel too great. There were some very bad collisions in mobile, but with this update, a lot of them seem to be tweaked out. So there's still some gimmicky parts, but overall he feels amazing now. I was actually able to play him and have a very good experience and have good games. I'm very happy to say that he has gone from I believe I had him on B tier to a good point in A now. So Oni is a 4.6 killer, which is Omomoko's Wrath, I believe. I might be butchering that. When he hits you with his basic attack, you drop blood orbs, and he can absorb them. And after he intakes a certain amount, he can go to his rage, and which gives him the Oni dash. He can dash across maps very well too, so that's a very good plus for him. And he can one-shot with that. He's able to wield his giant club and one-shot in close range or during his dash. So very good in chase. The only downside to him is having a slow early game. So if you pre-drop and make good safe plays, you can basically rob Oni of his ability. So keep that in mind. Remember, do not let him drink the blood. But even then, he can recover very well as long as he gets at least one ability. He can slug an entire team, so his recovery can be very well. It just depends on the match. So again, Oni, very happy to see him be a lot better to play, a lot smoother to play. So I'm very happy with that. So happy to see him back in A tier. And of course, we're not going to forget about Wraith. He has been creeping up very steadily since he's been buffed. He's now an A tier. Yeah. Yes, his character. He is a 4.6 killer, which his ability has been changed a while ago. He used to just be an uncloak mechanic, and that was it. And now he has a true invisibility after 20 meters. He has a base of Windstorm as well added, and his lunge has been greatly increased. So one of his strengths now is that he renders a lot of safe loops very unsafe depending on the placing. So to a lot of people it doesn't sound too much, but Wraith takes advantage of that and you will be very sorry for it. So the only real thing you can do is play it safer, pre-drop maybe, and just not even try to loop it and get out. But it's just surprising how strong he can be now. That's really his only real weakness is just running away very early, but his speed is pretty much on point now with that base Windstorm. And like I said, having a crazy long dash attack that he receives is bonkers sometimes. It sometimes does feel very disgusting. Maybe he might be going down to B soon, I don't know. Maybe they might nerf his dash attack. I cannot say for sure. But at the moment, the only real thing you can do against him is just play very safely and hope that he whiffs a lot or that he's not too familiar with it. But I'm happy to see him at A tier. I never thought I would see that, but he just feels very, very, very good, plays very good, and again, he doesn't care about safe loops. He just dashes 30 feet away and smacks you. So surprised as well, but happy to see him at A tier. We have Freddy at the last of A tier, 4.6 killer. He was recently nerfed. His power now has less blood pools and less pallets that he can place on the board. He actually does slow down now to 4.0. His chase potential is still there with good placing of blood pools, and he's just a little bit slower to start up. It's really it. With the buff to survivors on waking up and him having less power overall, he's still good. He's not as spammy, but he can still hold his own. He can still teleport to the generators, and he's still in a good spot. I can put him in B tier, and I wouldn't be against that by no means. And if you want to agree with that, let me know. But these nerfs only slow him down a little bit. But maybe I need to play him a little more and see my experience. But when I got to put my hands on him, he still felt like he was the same. So let me know what you think. If you disagree or agree, let me know. And starting us off at B tier, we have Hillbilly. 4.6 killer, one of the originals. He has his chainsaw sprint as his power. He can rev it up, and you can control the rev now. They did fix that bug, and it is a one-shot. If you do not want to use it for that, you can use it to traverse the map. So he has a pretty good speed on that as well. He moves up to 3.6%, so a lot big, almost basically twice, or a bit over twice. So he can run very fast across the map and make good distance. So good point right there. And his chase potential is obviously very strong too, or can be. He can one-shot survivors. He can curve around depending if you learn that as well. It's a little tricky. Remember, we are on mobile, and that's really the thing too. Is one of his weakness, because we're on mobile. That's why he's not on A tier. We have some awkward collisions, and that's really what gets me down. For example, some people have learned them, they've mastered them, but in general, those janky spots make it difficult for me. So until we get like 100% smooth thing going on, where things are a lot better, I can see him go to A tier. But if you punish him by getting very awkward loops for him, forcing him to basic attack, you can make his game take a lot longer. So even with that being said, he's still a very good killer. Not the greatest anymore. Remember, they keep nerfing with his cool down mechanic, but he is very good. And falling off Hillbilly is the demo. Which, quick note, they will be taken off of the DVD store in all media. So do give them a look. Do buy them. They're going to be gone forever, it looks like. So do go to your store and buy these characters for Demo, Nancy, and Steve, please. That is all. And back to the killer. He is a 4.6 killer that recently got a rework for the better, actually. They made his base shred a lot better as well. You move to 3.9, I believe. I could be wrong. And it feels a lot nicer to play overall. He can still shred through pilots very good. He has some add-ons currently, like Bars Glasses and the Blackheart. So very good on that regard. Chase potential is still good as well, which is very, very far dash, if you will. And his real weakness is just getting the pre-drop pallets or some jankiness from the hits, remember, with the Late Mobile. And he still has the potential to recover. Although his speed is a little helped with the portals. They did buff that as well, the portal recovery and the speed that you traverse. So it is there, but it does vary on the map. But even then, he's still an overall still really good character. I don't know if they'll ever touch him again. Remember, he's in the current situation of being lost in the licensing, so we really don't know. But he has potential to be a little more. But right now, I feel like he's in a very good middle point, like a solid middle. And if you think he deserves to be higher, let me know. So on to the next one. Behind Demo, we have Plague. I don't think she's underrated anymore. I've been seeing a little bit more of Plagues, and that's really good to see. She is a 4.6 killer with her infection as the power. And if you get infected, you cough, you cry. It actually goes over Iron Will, so it's very good to note, by the way. You can heal yourself by drinking from the pool, but if you do, she can drink that corruption and turn her vomit into not an infection, but into a damaging black vomit, which can go over short walls and high walls depending on the angle and how long she holds it, can increase her distance. So, a killer that can take advantage of bad situations, actually. So, uh, only weakness I can think of is that people play it very safe and run away early, and not taking the pause, for example. So they play injured, and they force her to basic attack. But that's really it. But you do get broken if you get fully infected. You do get broken, and you vomit, which can interrupt certain actions. So it's a little annoying thing if you're a survivor. But remember, you are one basic away if you're broken. So a solid killer. She can snowball very fast. So do be wary. Do not take her lightly. Happy to see her in B tier. Maybe she might get a little buff. We never know. And coming up next too, we have the Doctor. A 4.6 killer with the power of 2 actually. He has the Shock Therapy and Shock Blast. Shock Therapy is a quick charge attack that sends up a little AoE in front of him that shocks you. While you get shocked, you have a delay of, I believe, 2.5 seconds where you cannot do anything. You have a little red marker, and you cannot vault, you cannot drop a pallet. You are basically vulnerable for those little 2.5 seconds, and that's where Doctor shines. He can make a safe pallet not safe anymore, or that window. So Doctors with very good timings are very terrifying. So his chase potential can actually be very, very good. He has potential. The only weakness he has is if there's a desync or lag going on, which with the update they have fixed quite a lot. So before I had him, I believe lower, but I can comfortably put him in B tier now because he did address that. And I don't really get that lag anymore, depending on some matches. But he feels a whole lot better to play. I'm happy to see him move up a little bit, because a good Doctor is really, really scary. Coming up below them is my little one. It is the Pig. She's a 4.6 killer. Her ability is the Jigsaw Trap. When she knocks down a survivor, she can place a Jigsaw Bear Trap on their head. It will activate when a generator is completed, and they have 2.5 minutes to solve the puzzle, which is looking for the Jigsaw machines and hopefully finding the key. If they do not find the key, they will die. So a very risky move. That's why she's on C tier. It's really up to chance, and that's probably her weakness on that. It's RNG based. You could put her lower. It's just, I guess it depends who you ask. But for me, she does still play very well. Her traps have given me pretty good luck at the moment, but until that gets fixed, I cannot put her past anything higher than C. And that's me being, even I'll say it, a little biased since she is my main, but I can't put her to be higher. If you told me she was a D tier or F, I'd probably want to fight you, but I wouldn't really disagree because RNG is not too fun to rely on. So her chase potential is questionable sometimes because her dash does let out a roar, although her ability also of crouching, which is part of her kit, she can crouch and after 8 seconds her radius diminishes and she gains Insidious. So it's very good and very handy to sneak up on people. But that roar that she does when she does her ambush attack is still very annoying. They know you're coming, they hear a loud roar, and they scatter. So she is in need of a rework. I think it's about time. So that's also why she's also not going past C, because her chase potential can be okay to bad. It's not great, sadly. So I'm sorry, but even for me, it hurts.
Coming in next after the pit, we have the Legion, a 4.6 killer with Feral Frenzy. When using it, you run a little faster. You get a speed boost. You can pallet jump, actually. You can slide over pallets. And you can vault faster as well through windows. So pretty nifty when chases. And when hitting a survivor, you apply a deep wound to them, injuring them as well. And it will let you activate Killer Instinct to find survivors within turret radius. When you miss, you go into a cooldown. So Legion is pretty okay with the chases, like I've said. You get a quick injure and follow it up. So it's not the greatest, but it's okay. You're basically an angry group with stabby stabby. Um, the weakness though, that's what makes Legion a little bit low. Is yes, you can keep the team injured, and if they are confident and they play the game through the injury, so all they will do is finish the gens, and it's a little difficult when that happens for Legion. So you essentially come down to playing without your ability after a cycle or two of using it, and it's difficult because now you're just playing a game where Legion has no power. So that's what really irks him a little bit. They need to give him something to where it's a bit more of an urgency. I'm not sure what exactly. I don't main him. I need to invest more time into Legion, but he could need something though. It's just applying a deep wound isn't enough, especially when you need to get those downs. So again, he can still be a fair killer. It's just he needs a little bit more into his kit.
Up next we have Ghostface. Now the only thing why he's actually very low now to me is there's currently a glitch, FYI. It seems to come and go, but when somebody breaks you out of your shroud, meaning they saw your body more than I believe 20%, and they break it because they see you, it doesn't give you Killer Instinct, so you can find the person who broke you out of it. And it has been happening to me quite often, a little bit too often. Like I think once or twice when it doesn't bug out anymore, it'll come back. But even then, it's basically me not playing with my ability. But when it doesn't, when it doesn't happen to you, you can still stalk and get a very potential one shots. But what hinders him honestly is his cooldown. Those 30 seconds after being spotted very easily, I might add sometimes, it doesn't help him. You are basically do with the knife. And although crouching can help you a lot during chases, and even hiding your red stain with your shroud, you have to rely on cooldown items. So he has potential to be very good. It's just he needs some tweaking. He needs a little bit of a little rework, if you will. So the potential is there. His one shot is keeping him in C, to be honest, and he will have trouble to come back. Sadly, he's one of those players that he needs some love, man. If he gets steamrolled, it'll be a tough game. But even then, like I said, he needs some love. That's what behavior gives him that. So he is comfortably on C tier, sadly. Following down, we have Trapper, an OG, a fan favorite. Sadly, he needs something extra. A 4.6 killer with the power of bear traps. You can set them around, put them in good looping areas, and shut down loops and booby trap, essentially. And his chase potential is normal because of the 4.6, but the traps, if placed correctly, can make very short work of it. The only downside to him, which is a very big downside for him, is the fact that if the team knows you're a trapper, they will play carefully and watch out for traps. Sadly, unless you have like the Bloody Coil or an Eerie add-on or a bag, which is like one of his main hindrances is carrying one bear trap, you can have a little bit of a hard time, period, with anybody, because it takes you time to find the trap, set up the trap, and then rearm the trap. So a killer, it takes 4.5 seconds, give or take, 4.2, something around there, depending on add-ons, of course. And he gets punished a lot more for the disarming, which is sad, because now you know that the people, these survivors, will not go there as well. Now you wasted that whole time setting it up just to get found. So Trapper, I know they buffed him recently, but at least let him carry one more trap behavior, and then we'll see if he moves up a little bit, but in due time. Joining him we have Michael Myers. A little lower actually, you could argue ahead, But the thing about Michael Myers is he's just slow. Even being a 4.6 killer, he does not start off 4.6. He started off, I believe, a 4.2 at level 1, and then he has to stock to level up, and then stock again to reach level 3, which is temporary. Although granted, he has the power to cut chases very short, which is one shot. At level 3, it falls flat just because you have to stalk. You have to find people and drain them, basically. And he's one of the only killers that can completely run out of power. He is one of the killers who needs a very, very quick update. He is outdated. He can be very fun. I have fun streaming with him and playing and killing. But just play safe against him, pre-drop. Don't make him get close. Don't let him get close when he's tier 3. And you've essentially countered Michael Myers. Although him getting a speed boost for actions is helpful during level 3, it doesn't help much with slowing down the match, sadly. So he needs a rework, but we'll see. And with them, joining them is the Clown. I like playing Clown. This big boy of 4.6, although he moves very well with the yellow bottle added now, it still isn't enough. The thing about the yellow bottle, it speeds him up by a percent, but it also speeds up the survivors. And most times it depends. Sometimes you feel like you're wasting your yellow bottles in favor to move, and then you're out of pink bottles to slow down the opponents. And there's currently a glitch where yellow bottles sometimes don't work properly. I could be wrong if it's been addressed, but he needs something. His speed to knock down people can be good. It depends on how the game plays off for him. But again, the pink bottle and the yellow bottle just don't feel like they're enough sometimes. They really don't. His weakness is the same as earlier with Michael Myers. They pre-drop and leave early. You can catch up, but now you're out of bottles. It's a little annoying with him sometimes. Although I still enjoy the games with him. It feels good to win with Clown. It's just that he is somebody who I feel needs something else. Although I'm not too sure what it could be. Whether it be buffing the yellow or the purple or carrying more. I'm not too sure yet. I have to give him a little bit more time to see what I can feel comfortable with. We're not trying to make him OP either, but Clown, I love you, but you too thick sometimes. And as you can see coming in right behind the Clown, we have Trickster. Trickster, they made his control scheme a bit too difficult. And what makes it worse is that he is a base of 4.4. And in mobile, unlike the main game, he has a power wheel, like a little power button. And the power button is very sensitive because it's somehow tied in with your POV, with your camera view, if you will. So not only are you controlling the angle of where you're looking at, with the same button, you're flickering and going back and forth with controlling your ability and keeping your camera properly on where you want it to look at, which even then it can glitch out and be very hard to control. They have taken note of this behavior mobile, and hopefully they're going to work on it. We'll see. But currently, he is very hard to play for me. Some people seem to get used to him, and that's amazing. If you main Trickster or you're good with Trickster, I applaud you. But he needs a different something with the power wheel where it's not as sensitive, or they're able to change that. Maybe something to like a hunches mechanic, for example. He needs something for that power wheel. It is very difficult for me, or in general it looks like. His weakness is the line of sight as well, although we don't have the updated Trickster where he is a 6-knife Trickster. We currently have the 8-knife one. Line of sight is very important for him, and it's even worse because of the control scheme, like I've said. So even when that comes in, he might move up. We don't know. But until then, Trickster, I'm sorry. You're beautiful, but you're gonna stay way down there. And tying it off, we have the missing characters, which is Blight and Deathslinger, which hopefully they come in soon. With the map, I believe also was on the way, so keep news for that. And as you can see as well, we don't have Nemesis. They will not be coming, so don't expect them. It's not happening. We're not getting Nemesis, Joe, or Leon. We will get their perks respectively, so keep an eye out for that. Oh, and a quick thing, we will be getting Pinhead, so at least that's a very good thing to hear. With that being said, we're gonna pan back up and let me know what you think of this. Again, this is my experience at the moment with mobile. I've been playing since the official release. Maybe you have different opinions, and you know what? That's 100% okay. Let me know what you think. I'll put my media in the info box. Y'all take care. Have a good night. Don't forget your water, and I'll see you then.